Hello everybody, John Chappie back here again with another video, and today I bring you another movie review, my first movie review of 2015, and I'm here to review the newest film from the director Neil Blomkamp, who of course directed awesome movies like District 9 and Elysium, Chappie. Chappie is officially here, and I'm here to give you my review for it. Now, if you've not seen this film, this review may contain spoilers, so definitely go check out the film, then come back so we can talk shit about the movie itself. Nonetheless, this movie stars Sharto Copley as the voice of Chappie, also stars Dev Patel, and stars Sigourney Weaver and Hugh Jackman, and on top of all that goodness, stars the South African hip-hop group Die Antwoord, who, ironically enough and strangely enough, are kind of like the main protagonists of this film, almost. They're like the main image of this movie, which is really weird. But we're going to get to that in a second. Nonetheless, let's get right down to the movie itself. The overall plot is, of course, in this new reality, the government has purchased a series of attack robots who are manufactured for police use and military use, who are of course, used to take down criminal activities and various other type of, acts like that. They're basically, think of this as like a modernized RoboCop with Neil Blomkamp's, hits and beats and design and overall atmosphere. If you've seen those kind of this is what I like to call it, his like movies. It's like pre-apocalyptic urban realism. That's what I like to call his movies. And it has all the hits and beats of that kind of realism. Nonetheless, this new police force is used to take down criminals and terrorists and all types of various acts like that. And one of the robots get destroyed. And on top of that, you have the organizer, the scientist, the creator of these robots, who is, of course, Dev Patel's character, wants to create a robot that has feelings and more human feel. It's basically just like, various other kind of robot storylines that we've seen in the past. It's been done it's pretty much been done to death. Every single time we've seen a robot movie, there's always going to be a designer and a creator and a scientist who's like, well, let's give this robot human fucking understanding and realism, and let's make it feel more like a person. There's always that kind of plot in a sci-fi movie, and there it is. It's basically Dev Patel's character, where he wants to give the robots more of a human touch, make them feel like, give them their own personality, give them their own feelings, basically having them be like humans, except in robot bodies. That's kind of the gist of where he's coming from. And on top of that, you have Hugh Jackman's character, who's one of the, I want to say, antagonists for this film, who basically wants to shut down Dev Patel's characters, who's called Dean Wilson's. He wants to take down his company, his basic robot enforcement, and bring in a new age for his robotics, so he can be like the new man on top in their organization. On top of that, of course, you have the Die Antwoord characters, Ninja and Yolandi, who are basically, once again, strangely enough, the main protagonist almost in this movie. It's basically spoilers, but if you go into this movie and you think those characters, they're gonna die in like 2 minutes or later or something, they're not gonna be that important. Ironically enough, and I actually looked up these people and their characters in and of itself, but going into this freaking movie, they're so big into this movie. Their characters are so intricate into the plot, which is very unnecessary, but they are, to the point it's like they're more of the hero than Dion is. Like Dion, like in this movie, you're expecting, like, the expectation was so high for like the standard kind of design for these kind of movies. Like, you were expecting like District 9 done again, except you take out the aliens and you put in robots. That's kind of like the general gist of what you were coming from, that we all were kind of coming from, based off the trailers. Like, this was like the start of a revolution, and the robots are gonna, revolt against organized government, and all that, it's time to revolt, and all that awesomeness. It's more or less like a comedy. It's like, Like, go check out Diane Ward's music videos. It's kind of like that, except it's like Neil Blomkamp's love letter to Diane Ward. I don't know why he was so obsessed to make them such an intricate role in this movie, but he did. It's like, other than Chappie, these two characters are the main characters of the movie, which is really, really odd. It's definitely the opposite route that, you know, a lot of us, or me specifically, was kind of going into. I was like, God damn, it's a little too much with these characters. Like, granted, they're funny, and they're obviously overly exaggerated, but you could have toned down that. You should have cut at least like half of their scenes. You could have. Like, and I don't know if the movie could have been better if you did, but I definitely could have been like, more of like, you just need like a breather from these characters. Like, you see them so much and they're so overly exaggerated and they're doing so much crazy shit. Once again, if you want to know, like, go check out their music videos, then you'll know. But basically, you see so much of that where you're like, you feel so raped of your mentality that you're like, can we just take a break of these characters for a second? Like, the ghetto-ness and the urbanness and the insanity of these characters, it's like tormenting my soul almost. But it definitely depends on your personal preference as to whether or not you're gonna love these characters. Me personally, there were moments where I liked them. There were moments where I tolerated them, and there's moments where I'm like, yeah, you don't really need them here. You know, you could have just cut them out for a second. That's kind of how I feel. But overall, this entire movie, other than, you know, the appreciation for robot movies, it's kind of like, just like I said, it's like Neil Blomkamp's love letter to Diane Ward. So I guess if you love that hip hop group, then I guess you're gonna love this movie. But nonetheless, if you're expecting like the typical like Revolution robot movie that we all kind of were expecting from the trailers, it's the opposite of that. You know, so there's that. Nonetheless, back into the plot of the summary of this story, Dion decides to go on his own prerogative and basically design and take one of the robots and use his new design to test it on this new robot. But on top of that, he gets obviously hijacked from Ninja and Yolandi's group and is forced to give them the robot that he's designed. And they basically use him and call him Chappie and basically use him for criminal acts and activities. And then the movie just continues to go on from there. It's like just one giant music video of crazy nonsense and ghetto-ness and insanity. Overall, besides that, then you have Hugh Jackman's character who desperately wants to shut down Dion's program and start his new one. And then you have this whole war against rival gangs and really unnecessary use of violence and... God, I'm just saying. There's so much insanity that goes down in this movie that doesn't really make that much sense, that it's almost laughable at some points. Like, there were moments, like, where the action and the story definitely starts to kick in, where Chappie is starting to realize who he is, what he can do, what he can't do, what the surrounding backgrounds of his reality and world are. You kind of get the feeling of, like, this is where the movie should kick into high gear when you go into the serious moments. But it's not like, no, let's not do that. Let's gang up people. Let's gang bang people. Let's fucking steal shit. Let's kill motherfuckers. That's kind of like what you get thrown into you on the screen. Beyond that, the overall plot ends with, you know, Hugh Jackman's character is pretty much taken down Dion's robot company. Chappie obviously has lost all hope with Dion because he realizes that his robotics is basically going to die out when his battery dies out, and decides that he needs to transfer his consciousness to another form of body. And on top of that, you get stuck in this whole rival gang war on top of Hugh Jackman's character, who's basically trying to kill Dion practically, and obviously Chappie. And spoilers, of course, everyone pretty much dies with the exception of Ninja and Chappie and Dion. Chappie basically goes on a rager, kills everybody, destroys Hugh Jackman practically. You can't. It's implied that he basically kills him, but you kind of get the gist that he just got the shit kicked out of him. But I'm just gonna leave it at that. Nonetheless, Chappie decides because Dion is so heavily injured and he's not going to survive, they need to somehow transfer not only Chappie's consciousness, but Dion's consciousness to other robots. So that's what they basically do. They're kind of like the first people to like. It's kind of like what Transcendence kind of did, where it's like, let's transfer someone's consciousness to a robot or to the internet. It's kind of like that fucking plotline, except it actually kind of worked, and it's not like catastrophically boring. But yeah, there you go. Chappie, he succeeds in transferring Dion's consciousness and mind and brain to a robot, and his own to another robot. And that's pretty much the end of the movie. So yeah, and of course, spoilers. As I stated, Yolandi and various other characters die. She also gets her consciousness thrown into another body, and that's kind of like the last shot of the movie, where it's like, yeah, she's back! The mother of Chappie. Then that's pretty much the end of the movie. So that's pretty much the gist of the story. And I know I kind of like mixed and matched, and I pretty much made it sound like this movie's kind of stupid. But when we get into let's start with the positives, because we're getting all over the place here. Basically, the positives is the character of Chappie. I love the design. I mean, the robot design is cool. It has a very vintage look of various manga and anime and 80s characters and Star Wars characters that we've seen in the past. It really has that kind of feel. Overall, I just love the whole RoboCop kind of feel to it. It definitely feels like a modern-age RoboCop, except with a whole bunch of urban slang and ghetto-ness to it. Which, of course, you be the judge of how you personally like it. Nonetheless, the visual style of this movie definitely has the same hits and beats of the rest of Neil Blomkamp's characters, designs, and other sci-fi movies. And personally, I think it's better than Elysium. I mean, a lot of people who have been reviewing this movie have pretty much bashed it by now. It's not really getting a good rating as of now. Which probably has to do with all of its, uselessness with the characters and all that crazy slang ghetto-ness, which, wasn't really that big of a deal, depending on your personal preference, once again. But, overall, I actually think it is better than Elysium. I mean, for me personally, I would watch this movie more than Elysium. Like, Elysium, I watched it once, and I was like, this is boring. Like, the whole entire movie was just boring to me. Like the first half, every time I see it, I'm like, ugh, done. I don't want to see this anymore. That's how I kind of feel. Like, District 9 will always be this director's, like, iconic, definitive movie. But for right now, Chappie is a movie I'm definitely going to watch more than once. Like, I'll definitely see it again. But, is it a movie that you need to see right out the right out of the gate? Like, right now? Not really. You can definitely take your time into seeing this movie. It's not like the biggest movie of the year or something. It's definitely not the movie that is going to kill, all other sci-fi movies out of this year. I'm pretty sure it's not going to do that. But, it is a decent movie that you'll definitely feel very entertained by the end of the movie. The music is definitely awesome. Once again, it features a lot of songs from the main characters / hip-hop group. It also features a score by our boy Hans Zimmer, which is pretty badass, and the actors do a pretty good job. Sigourney Weaver, even though she's not really, that in the movie, she does a pretty decent job. Hugh Jackman, as always, is, awesome in every movie he does. I think he does a pretty good job as the villain in this movie, even though he's not really that extravagant. He kind of just feels like if you took, like, Steve Irwin or something and just, like, put Hugh Jackman in it, and there you go. That's like, if you put robots and just have that character, that's like the image I'm seeing right now. But nonetheless, that's kind of like the general gist of Hugh Jackman as the villain. And, yeah, I think he did a decent job. Everybody did a pretty decent job. Once again, Ninja and Yolandi, I don't really see why, he had to, like, put them in everything. But, I think they were pretty much funny for the scenes that they had to be funny and serious for the scenes that they had to be serious. So I guess for that extent, it's pretty cool. The background production of it is just awesome. I just love, every single bit of detail and art that's in the background of every scene. I love that. The visuals, once again, are awesome. The robot, I love Chappie as a character. I loved him. He was just so epic and awesome and cute and cuddly and funny and just heartbreaking at the same time. I just love the character Chappie. He was so funny and awesome. Like, I definitely want that character design somewhere. I just love it. I just think it's awesome. And the voice of Chappie, I think Sharto did a great job. I mean, like, he's definitely not my favorite actor of all time, but I think he did a good job with the voice of Chappie. I think he did pretty good at replicating Ninja's kind of voice, because throughout the movie, the character Chappie definitely takes a lot of heavily influence from Ninja and Yolandi, ironically enough. So he kind of had to get into the groove of those characters. And once again, just watch one of their fucking music videos, then you'll know. But generally, that's what they were trying to go for. And I loved it. I loved Chappie. He was just fucking awesome. I think his character was the best part of the movie. I wish Blomkamp's overall movie was dedicated to Chappie all the time. But once again, what are you gonna do? Of course, you're gonna have to feature Sigourney Weaver and Hugh Jackman and Dev Patel, and ironically enough, uselessly use Ninja and Yolandi overly. But at the end of the day, I have to give this movie a good 5.5 out of 10. It's not the greatest movie of all time. It's definitely not the best movie of Blomkamp's filmography, if you will. And it's definitely not going to be the best sci-fi movie out of this year. But it's definitely a very entertaining, funny movie. And it definitely has its serious parts. If you're into really epic robot movies, then I'm pretty sure you're going to love this movie. But if you're expecting a very surreal, experimental, like overly realistic movie that other Neil Blomkamp's movies are, like District 9 and Elysium, don't really see that. It's definitely just one big giant love letter to Diane Ward with robots. That's basically what the movie is. So that's why I give it a 5.5. And overall, the directing's pretty good. The writing's pretty good. The characters are awesome. Chappie, I loved. I wish they could have, just made the whole movie just Chappie. Like, if you took out all the human characters and just kept Chappie, I would have been like, fuck yes, this is the movie that it should have been. But, what are you going to do? On top of that, I think every other actor did a pretty decent job. The production was awesome. The visuals were great. The design of the robots were awesome. I loved Hugh Jackman as a villain, even though it was a little too, exaggerated at times and not underutilized, if you will. That's what I want to use. The word I want to use is underutilized, because a lot of characters were very underutilized, with the exception of Ninja and Yolandi. I'm just saying, out of all the characters, why did he had to use them so much? I'm not trying to bash them by any means, but I'm just saying it was a little much. You didn't really have to use them that much. You could have used them moderately, but just not overly, if you will. That's kind of like the main phrase that you can use with those characters. He used them overly. But nonetheless, the movie's pretty good. I give it a good 5.5. And I definitely recommend people checking it out. But not right out of the gate. It's definitely something that you can ease into seeing. Like, if you're going to see it like this weekend, or, next weekend, definitely check it out. But if you need to see it like right now, this very second, you can definitely take your time to do it. That's just my personal opinion. But overall, yeah, I give it a good 5.5. What do you personally think? Let me know in the comment section below. What did you think about the movie Chappie overall? What did you think about the character of Chappie? What did you think about Hugh Jackman as a villain? What are your personal thoughts on the visuals, the overall plot of the story? Let me know what you personally think about Ninja and Yolandi. After seeing this movie, are you going to check out their music? I actually really, really want to know if that's something that a lot of people are considering now. Like, after this movie, is everybody just, like, in a mood to just, like, rape yourself with... And rape is just I don't know, that's such a overly strong word to use, but it's pretty much the only thing I could use. I guess, overly drown yourself with Diane Ward's music. Because after seeing this movie, I had to just directly come back and just, like, listen to their music and just be like, who are these people? I just need to find them and understand them. Like, I had to study them That's what I kind of did after the movie. That was the first thing I did. I came home and I looked up their music and just drowned myself in like in these fucking people. It was just something I just had to do. It was just, who are you? What are you doing to me? You're in my mind. You're killing me inside. That's kind of like what this movie does to you. But if you're not into that, then definitely, like I said, ease into it. Just see you later. You'll get to it. See it on the weekend with your friends or with your significant others. Okay, sure. But then you drown yourself in the music, and you drown yourself in the characters, and then you start talking like Chappie. Chappie? That's what you're gonna fucking do when you after see the movie. So that's why I'm saying that I'll definitely see it more times than Elysium. That's kind of where I'm going. Not better than District 9, but definitely more watchable than Elysium. That's my personal opinion. Let me know in the comment section below. Subscribe to my channel if you've not done so already. I hope everyone has enjoyed. This has been John 12.